You know, there is nothing better than sticking the screws to a couple of hijackers to see what they are truly made of. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Fourth episode of Hijack is here. It's called Not Responding, which is fitting because that is the big sort of hang up of this entire episode. I'm not tracking it. I don't know the time exactly, but this feels like the first episode that had the least amount of Idris Elba's Sam being sort of on screen. We pick up at the end of the last episode where we heard the gunshot go off, and subsequently we find out that somebody was shot and killed. And originally, they don't tell us who it is. We don't really see who it is. We have to kind of infer and put the pieces together of who's missing. What we come to find out is that it is the plane's resident Karen, who was getting back and forth into it with the mother of that family of four. Um, she's the one who was shot and killed while she was looking for Lizzie, who was the daughter that kind of went and started running and felt pretty scared. So the mom feels a certain type of way now that she kept giving that girl pure hell because she died trying to go look for her daughter. With all the commotion that's going on and all the hubbub, Stuart slash Gerald, we learn some of their real names as we go along through this. Stuart basically feels like he's losing control. He's lost control of the plane. And he had to do this dire thing of putting live rounds into play to sort of reacclimate the plane to his control. And you can see that essentially multiple times in the show. Whenever he feels like his control is being questioned or threatened, he does something super stupid and awkward to kind of reclaim that. We saw a little bit of that in the last episode when he tried to get Sam, when Sam stopped him from holding his hand, from hitting him. Kind of was like, all right, I'm going to put you in your place. He's trying to do that again now with the plane. It's very clear that Stewart has gone against all the rest of his hijacking team's sort of wishes in the way that he's handled this. Even when Jaden, who we learn is Jaden slash Alexander, when he takes the body of our Karen and puts him into the bathroom, he sort of gives Lewis, the younger of the hijackers, a look and kind of like, how do we get here? What are we doing? And remember, Lewis got stabbed with the scissors, so he's kind of injured. He goes to Stewart, he's like, I thought we made a promise to never actually hurt or kill anybody. And Stewart was like, well, we were losing control, and now we've got control back. And he tells him, look down the aisleway of the plane and see how everybody's kind of back in their seats. No one's acting up or doing anything stupid. We got the control back, so now we're good. Go get fixed up, and we'll be okay. Lewis goes to the back to go try to find some first aid, and Stewart just kind of loses it. And in his losing it, not having control, he goes to the cockpit, takes the headset that the pilot always uses to communicate, and just starts smashing it. Just starts smashing, and to the point where it probably isn't usable. It's not. It's not usable. We got to appreciate Alice still being about that life. She's the only person that from day one, she's like, something ain't right here. They're not listening to me, but I got to see if I can keep climbing this up the flagpole because this needs to get the attention of people. And I don't think people are taking this as serious as they possibly should be. The Alphabet crew does not want to take this to their higher officials yet. We have foreign secretaries, we have secretaries of state for the UK, whatever the British versions of those are. They don't want to take it to the prime minister because they don't want to alert him until they have all their facts in a row. Mainly, they want to know who these five hijackers are. They want to know who they are, where they're from, their country of origin, and what it is that they're trying to do with the plane, because that will help aid. Look, truthfully, people need to know if this plane is being used as a missile. And that's kind of, I knew this was going to happen eventually at some point in time, because it is more dangerous if that plane hits a capital or something than, unfortunately, the people whose lives are on that plane. So I knew at some point they're going to have to weigh which of those means a little bit more to them. And we get a little bit of that in this episode. I know one of the viewers here thinks Hugo's in on it. I don't. But I do love that Hugo wanted to sort of apologize to Yusuf and be like, hey, just let him know that what occurred isn't his fault. And Yusuf was like, cool, real quick, tell that mother to shut the hell up. And if he says anything else to me, I'm going to kill him. He doesn't say that so much, but that's what he's basically equating to. Like, yeah, you say something else to me, I'm going to shut your mouth. You got to love it because nobody really likes Hugo. So Lewis goes to the back and tries to get some first aid, and there's nothing really that the plane is really equipped for. Now, Where he goes is sort of all in the back of the plane, sort of where they do the beverage prep and all of that stuff. That's where they're at, and that's also where they're keeping Sam. Sam has been detained by Terry. He's sort of handcuffed with like not wires, but those plastic cuffs, and kind of put up so his arms are above his head. And so he's there, and Sam goes into sort of some negotiating mode a little bit, and he is quasi playing Lewis, but he's also trying to figure out what's the next move while he's handcuffed to the plane. The air flight attendant is trying to like wrap him up and kind of do it, but she's doing a bad job. And Sam's kind of like, "Look, he's going to need a doctor. Like that's going to bleed out. It's going to get progressively worse." So the flight attendant calls on the radio. Calls on the plane. It's like, "Hey, is there a doctor in the house? Does anybody have with medical need? If you are, go ahead, turn your light on. We'll come get you." No one says anything, even though we do see in the family dynamic that David, out of that family of four, is a doctor. But his wife gives him that look like, "Nah, this ain't your fight. Don't go doing any of that." So while he is choosing not to give care, Lewis is in a bad way. He's getting worse and worse. Blood is starting to come out all over the place, to the point where Sam kind of tells a flight attendant, "Hey, look, you're going to need another hand to help wrap because you're not wrapping that tight enough." And so Lewis says, "We can cut him down." So Sam gets loose. He's still in his cuffs, but he is at least released from the door, and he kind of goes to Sam's aid. Now, while this is happening, Marcia, Sam's wife on the ground, gets a call to sort of double check and verify that the address that was sent to them, the cleaners, or who's on the phone call, those folks that were cleaning up and got Abraham earlier in the second episode, they're kind of going around and cleaning, and they've gotten Sam's actual address, and they're going to go do something shady to that home, or shady to people that he loves, basically to keep Mr. Sam on the up and up. Lewis kind of calls out Sam on his tactics. He's like, "Look, I know you're just trying to get in with me and kind of get in good and hope that I don't cause you harm." And Sam is blatantly honest, truthfully. And I think that's a little bit of the charm of why he's such a good negotiator. Like what he's saying is all built in truth, and he doesn't really lie. He omits things, but he's telling them like, "Look, I don't care about anybody else on this plane, and I want to do exactly what you want to do. I want to get back home. I'm sure you have somebody that you love. You have a wife, a kid, a mom, somebody that you love. I have somebody a kid who's about the same age as you. So I'm not going to just let you bleed out here. And I'm doing that so that if you decide that you need to shoot somebody in this plane, you shoot the person to the right of me as opposed to me because I say I help save your life." And Lewis kind of understands that. He puts that in a form that Lewis can take, but Lewis is getting in a bad way, to the point where he starts coughing up blood. And when he's coughing up blood, he kind of realizes that at this point he needs to start saying his goodbyes to people that he does care about. It's at that point that Lewis tells Sam that he has a phone on him. Sam takes it out and sees that the phone has a Wi-Fi signal. And Sam's head immediately like, "Okay, how the heck does everybody want me to call?" While he quickly calls Marcia and lets whatever he's saying be played, like he's recording basically a voicemail for them. It gets disconnected, but enough information has been given. But he does it in a way that it's pretty cool and pretty smart. He's like, "What's your mom's number?" Even though he has mom, he's ready to dial it immediately. But because he has the phone faced towards him and he uses the fact that he's handcuffed, it's kind of why he's so slow. He does enough and is able to delete his last call history so that it doesn't appear that he put out any outgoing message. But he does call his mom and has a pretty heartfelt conversation with her, basically saying, "Hey, you're going to hear some things about me, and I just want you to know that it's not your fault." Very heartfelt. But he's in a bad way. While this is happening, two fighter jets appear side by side with the plane, to the point that they're planning to shoot them down because they are in They're about to enter Bucharest airspace, and they don't know who these hijackers are or who they're coming after. Like they think that, hey, this might be a missile that's headed dead smack for the capital of Bucharest, and we can't have that. So before that happens, we're going to shoot this bad boy out the plane. And so while the foreign secretary isn't calling this up to the prime minister yet, she's kind of got to deal with this because then the president, if you will, of Bucharest calls and is like, "Hey, real quick, there's some people. This plane doesn't seem to be responding. We've reached out to it a bunch of times and nobody's getting back to us. we're going to shoot this bad boy out the plane unless you can tell us a reason why we shouldn't. Mind you, they have mostly a UK flight. Most of those folks on there are residents of the UK. The pilot kind of is mapping out the timing and of where everything is, and sees that they're about to enter Bucharest airspace, and he sees that these planes show up, and he's like, "Look, real quick, you need me to get on that comm right now and talk to them. Otherwise, they're going to shoot us out the air because they don't know where we're going or who we're actually attacking, and they may think it's them. And before they let us get to their capital, they're going to shoot us down." So Stewart takes the pilot over there, but mind you, he's already destroyed the headset. So he tries to get on the radio, tries to call, can't get on. So there's no response. There's no response coming from the plane. The plane is now unable to respond to anybody, which all those alphabet boys and the foreign secretary kind of are aware of, that they basically have a plane that's not responding. Stewart and the rest of the hijackers are aware of the planes on the side, so they tell everybody to close their windows, shut the windows off, close them, and not to make any contact with them. Stewart thinks, hey, if we go completely dark, maybe they won't bother us. And it's the exact opposite. If they go and don't show what's happening in there, they're going to just shoot that thing out the air. One of the flight attendants tries to get a message to NATO to say, hey, we're here. She just puts her face in the window. They see it, and they kind of report back like there's a woman here, and then they see a weapon. And then close it down, and it's from Jaden. Jaden kind of tells her, sit down, get away from the window. So in that, it sort of freaks out the rest of the plane, and like these planes are now, people are starting to realize like, oh crap, wait a minute. We know we're in NATO, which is friendly airspace, but if they think we're about to attack something, we are more dangerous as this than the folks. It becomes down to a matter of protecting the capital than it does protecting us up here. So after the phone call, completely bleeding out, Sam has this air flight attendant try and see if there's a doctor in the house again. This time David stands up. Now look, I get it. It's a hijack situation. It's pretty tense, but there's an oath or a decree or something that doctors take that no matter what the situation is, they're supposed to help. So no matter what his wife was talking about, shut your face. I got to go help this guy up. He goes back there and he kind of realizes that like, yeah, he's in a bad way, and he just doesn't have any airway to breathe. All this blood is sort of taking over his lungs. We need to create an air passage, a hole, some type of hole, and they don't have anything to really puncture a hole or make a hole. And that's when Sam realized, like, real quick, there is a pin. Can a pin do that? She's like, yeah, a pin can do that. He calls up to the front to get the lady hijacker, Jamie, to go to Yusuf, who has the pin, who wrote the stuff about the drawing of the the guns, drawing of the blank, and takes that pin immediately to the back. They puncture a hole, and he starts breathing again. It's at that point that Jamie sees that there was a phone that was there that was on Wi-Fi, to which Sam says, I need to call his mom. There's nothing more important than a mom to a son. That was it. She shuts the phone off and doesn't think anything of it. But Sam, being the smart man he was, on the flip side of that, Marcia finally does get that message. She listens to it and hears that, oh crap, Sam actually is on a plane that's been hijacked. And she calls Daniel to sort of check him about it, because last time she spoke to Daniel earlier in the episode, Daniel kind of sounded different, but didn't really let on that this is what was going on. And now Daniel's been brought on full time to sort of help dig into who these 5 folks are. With the information that Sam gives, he kind of gives some clues. He gives a number of his mom. It's like you're recalling his mom. You give that number, which they were able to look up. With that lookup, they saw that he resides and is born of UK. And all of them are British. Because of that, they can see that the person that they're going to attack is not in Bucharest. And so they quickly get that information to the pilots with about a minute left to spare, because they're locked in arm. Weapons are hot. They're ready to go. They get that message like, stand down. They're not coming after us. And that's all they kind of needed to know. Like, I don't care if there's a plane being hijacked. I'm not going to do anything about that, but just don't come after us. They get that message to them, and then Sam sort of looks out the window and sees that they have fallen off and knows that, hey, this voicemail thing, at least that worked to the point that kind of called these folks off and gave us a bit more of a fighting chance for another day. The last piece of this is that a list of demands are given to the prime minister, which he then says that get the foreign secretary on the phone, because we got to discuss some things. So now she didn't want to climb that up the flagpole, send that up the flagpole. She now doesn't have the choice. It's getting there. So a really intense episode, one that didn't cater too much to Idris, but we kind of delve, not fully, not into all of the hijackers, but more so into Lewis, the young one. We got a little bit more information on him, kind of to see that there are humans and that they do. Terry, Jaden, Jamie, and Lewis did not want to go the route that Stewart went, and now that they're there, they're kind of like, are we doing the correct thing? The other real two things that kind of occur that I didn't talk about in the full synopsis is that Marsha goes home, but Kai, Sam, and Marsha's son is not president. So I think that those cleaners, once they got the address and got verification, they went there, got the son, and now they're going to end up holding him hostage. I think too. There's a moment in this episode where the prisoner that when they look up everybody's records on the plane, the one guy that did pop as a prisoner that has neck tattoos, he gives a Rubik's Cube to David and his daughter Lizzie and their family. I think he gives it to the son, actually. But he doesn't seem like he's on the up and up. How my one viewer was listening and felt Hugo was the person. I feel like he's a wet dog that's just annoying. I feel like that guy seems to be a little bit more shady and may have a little bit more. There may be a sixth person, if you will, on this. I still think the key to all of this is figuring out who it was that's supposed to be on the other end of that call with Stewart. Stewart/Gerald, once we figure out who that is, I think a lot of this will open up a lot more. But I do feel like somebody in that intelligence office might be in on it because it was just a little too easy for Stewart not to get that call. That person on the other end wouldn't know that something has gone awry if there's not somebody either on that plane that's giving them back messages, or that there's somebody in that office that's giving the message to say, hey, something's gone awry. You might want to look into this plan or come up with like a backup, which I think the backup now is, let's make sure Sam's kid is held hostage. And I think if and when somehow they're able to find out that all of the other weapons beside anybody on this plane, not just Sam, if anybody else on this plane finds out that all those weapons aside from the one that Stewart/Gerald has isn't filled with blanks, if they found out anybody else has blanks on them, I think there's going to be a coup, and this is going to get really dicey really quick. How you find that out, I don't know, because they've all seen a person actually get killed. So there's not going to be people really in the jump on that, but I think it's going to be a test of wills to sort of, somebody's going to have to test that theory out. But this is a really good episode. We only got a couple more left, 3 more left. I'm excited to see what happens. And this is one of those ones that keep doing the edge of seat from start to finish. And I think it was really good to see an episode where the hijackers thinking they still had control, but they're completely out of control at this point in time. And you got to sort of see that string being unraveled. Lewis is in a bad way. Jamie is concerned about Lewis. Terry's like, what the hell? Here's a moment where he freaks out. Some people like, hey, where's their doctor? Stop staring at me. So anybody got medicine? We need painkillers. Do something. Anybody do something. So you get to see them all sort of rattled and at their wits' end. There's a cool little moment twice. You can see that Jaden, while he has been sort of the tough guy in the back of the plane, putting a gun in everybody's face, roughing people up, he has 2 moments of sort of a bit of calmness and a bit of respect for the people of the plane. When he finally does see that the uncle who needed the medicine is sort of in a bad way, he eventually says, go ahead, clean this up, but go ahead and give your uncle that medicine. And 2, granted, he has blank, so there's nothing really he can do in it anyway. But when the flight attendant sees the ships leave, she initially doesn't say anything, but then she tells everybody, like, all right, open up your blinds, open up the blinds, everybody open the blinds, they're gone. To sort of just say, hey, we got this. And instead of trying to overtake the situation, Jaden kind of he lets them have that moment a bit. And in that moment, that's a moment again where the power dynamic of the plane switches back to the passengers more so than it does the 5 hijackers. Well, 4 now, as one of them is basically done. What did you guys think about this episode of Hijack called Not Responding? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDid@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts, we're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.